It's June 2025. A senior diplomat for an EU member state is sitting in the business lounge of a major Southeast Asian airport. He's tired, he's between flights, and he needs to check his briefing notes for a high-stakes summit on the South China Sea trade routes.
He opens his laptop. He sees the airport's free Wi-Fi portal. He clicks connect. A familiar-looking screen pops up. Please sign in with your Microsoft 365 account to continue.
To him, it looks like a standard security measure. Maybe the airport has a partnership with Microsoft. He's in a hurry, so he types in his credentials. The screen flickers, says connected, and he goes about his business.
But he didn't just connect to the internet. He just handed his entire digital life and his government's classified communications to a group in Chengdu, China.
The free Wi-Fi wasn't from the airport. It was a captive portal hijack, a digital snare set by a group known as Mustang Panda. And by the time the diplomat lands in Brussels, his inbox has been mirrored, his contacts mapped, and a silent piece of malware is already jumping from his laptop to the embassy's secure server. I'm Tova, Dvorin, your host, and welcome back to the SafeBreach studios for the Cyber Resilience Brief, a SafeBreach podcast.
And I'm Adrian Culley, your co-host. Welcome back to the Dragon's Digital Shadow, our China Deep Dive Threat series, and this is episode 4, The Puppet Masters.
Today, Adrian, we're talking about the masters of the long con. While other groups are busy trying to blow up power grids or steal billions, Mustang Panda is playing the long game of social and political engineering. Adrian, we've talked about typhoons and dragons, but Mustang Panda has a bit of a different reputation in the cybersecurity world. They aren't the quietest group, but they are incredibly persistent.
Yeah, Tova, Mustang Panda, also tracked as APT-27, or Bronze President, is like the uninvited guest of the internet. They've been around since at least 2012 and have a very specific type. They target NGOs, non-profits, religious groups, and diplomatic entities.
More specifically, groups that the Chinese Communist Party politically views as part of the 5 poisons or threats to their domestic stability. We're talking about Tibetan groups, Uyghur activists, and pro-democracy advocates in Hong Kong.
Correct, but lately, starting in 2024 and through 25, they've expanded. They've gone global in some respects. We've seen them hitting government ministries in Africa, Europe, and throughout the ASEAN nations.
What makes them so dangerous isn't necessarily a super virus, it's how they get into your head before they get into your computer. Adrian, we've talked off mic, you call this social engineering 2.0.
Exactly. Most hackers send a generic invoice-attached email. Mustang Panda sends you a document that looks like a confidential report on the exact topic you're working on. If you're a diplomat working on the 2026 Trade Summit, they'll send you an email titled Draft Agenda 2026 Summit Confidential.
And it's not just the title. The content inside, even the stuff you can see in the preview, is often stolen from a previous breach of a different diplomat. And that means it looks real, because parts of it are real. This is beyond spear phishing. It's laser phishing with radar support. Highly targeted and bespoke precision social engineering. It's hearts and minds, super sensei level social engineering. Now let's go back to that airport scenario, the captive portal attack. This feels like a major evolution for Mustang Panda in 2025. Let's talk a little bit about why.
It is, Tova. It's moving the attack from the digital inbox to the physical world. In the last year, we've seen reports of Mustang Panda teams actually being physically present near major international summits, G20 meetings, ASEAN summits. Security advice for everyone. Be very wary and suspicious of guest Wi-Fi. Be double wary of airport-free guest Wi-Fi, and be extraordinarily wary of executive lounge guest Wi-Fi. Why? Well, it's just as much about psychology as it is about being technical. Even long-term, highly expensive, deep cover agents have been known to drop their guard and communicate using their real identities in airport executive lounges. Globally, it's a prime intelligence service and signals interception hunting ground. Exercise extreme caution in these digital environments.
Yeah, and these threat actors aren't at the airport with guns. They're there with pineapples.
Striking mental image, Tova, but that's not the fruit. We're talking about a Wi-Fi pineapple. It's a small portable device that can spoof legitimate Wi-Fi networks and can work off something as small as a Raspberry Pi.
Wow. And it is sad in a way because airports restrict the entering of real fruit. So if it was real fruit, we might be more protected there. And by the way, here's another good name for our SafeBreach cocktail, the Wi-Fi Pineapple Mixer. Look for it in a bar near you. But anyway, our threat actor set up a shadow network that has a stronger signal than the actual airport Wi-Fi, which means that your phone or laptop will automatically connect to the strongest signal it recognizes, and it will jump up your list first.
And then comes the captive portal element, that login screen. In 2025, Mustang Panda started using a technique called the Credential pass-through. When you type your password into their fake screen, their server instantly tries it on the real Microsoft or Google login page. If it works, they then pass you through to the real internet.
So you never even know it happened. You get your Wi-Fi, you check your email, everything seems fine.
Meanwhile, they've just installed a token on your machine, a piece of code. This token allows them to bypass multi-factor authentication, which is a big deal. The 6-digit code you get from your phone, it can be bypassed for months. They are authenticated as you.
It's a complete hijacking not only of your phone and your systems, but your trust. And they've used this to devastating effect against NGO workers in the Middle East and Southeast Asia in the last few months.
And we'll be right back.
Even though they rely on social engineering, Mustang Panda still has some pretty nasty technical tools once they're inside. Adrian, let's talk about one of those tools, which is PlugX.
PlugX is a classic. It's a remote access Trojan. Chinese actors have been using it for over a decade, but Mustang Panda treats it like a Swiss Army knife. They're constantly modularizing it.
Right, and in early 2026, a new variant was discovered of PlugX that uses binary planting to hide inside legitimate Windows processes.
Right, Tova, it's that living off the land theme again. They'll hide the PlugX code inside a legitimate file, like a calculator app or a printer driver. When the computer starts, it loads the safe file, and the malware side loads right along with it.
Right, but then here's the most Mustang Panda thing ever. It's called the USB worm.
This is both brilliantly low-tech, Tova, and high-impact. They've developed a variant of PlugX that infects USB drives. If you plug a thumb drive into an infected laptop to save a file, the malware hides itself inside a hidden partition on the drive.
Sneaky, sneaky. Then when you take that drive to an air-gapped computer, one that isn't connected to the internet for security reasons, and plug it in,
boom! The malware jumps the gap, it waits until that second computer eventually connects to any network, and then it phones home to Chengdu, China. They've used this to breach secure military networks in countries that thought they were completely isolated from the internet.
You know, we're seeing a massive spike in Mustang Panda activity right now around the time of this recording, which is in February 2026, specifically targeting the ASEAN member states. Why now?
It's all about the South China Sea. As the PRC rushes and pushes its maritime claims, they need to know exactly what the neighbouring countries, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, are saying to each other behind closed doors.
We've seen reports that the personal devices of at least 3 ASEAN foreign ministers were compromised in the last 90 days.
Hook this time? A fake document regarding the 2026 Code of Conduct for the South China Sea. It was sent from a spoofed email address that looked like it came from the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
It's the ultimate puppet show. By controlling the information that these diplomats see, and by knowing their private negotiating positions, Beijing can steer the diplomacy without ever firing a shot.
It's not just hacking, it's statecraft by another means.
And it means you always need to have cybersecurity at the helm.
Digital coercion.
Adrian, Mustang Panda is a reminder that you can have the most expensive firewall in the world, the best encryption, and the most secure servers, but if a tired diplomat clicks connect on the wrong Wi-Fi, it's all for nothing.
However, the vulnerability isn't the software, it's the human sitting in the chair. What we've got is highly skilled social engineers, highly skilled technicians, highly skilled reverse engineers and offensive cybersecurity engineers actively targeting people who've actually had counterintelligence training and cybersecurity training and still succeeding in compromising them. As you said earlier, it's beyond spear phishing. This is laser-guided, radar-supported phishing that's absolutely at super sensei hearts and minds level. So what can you do about this, listeners?
Fortunately, our excellent research and development lab and their teams have in-depth knowledge of APT-27, also known as Mustang Panda, and their attack code, their TTPs, and their behaviors. These are maintained in a dedicated simulation scenario, which we encourage all of our customers and listeners to use.
Please don't fall victim to Mustang Panda. Execute the full kill chain attack scenario yourselves before they get a chance to breach you, and plug those gaps.
And don't forget to run it continuously. We've seen how they target infrastructure, how they poison the supply chain, and how they manipulate individuals. But as we move into the final stages of our series on Chinese threat actors, the story takes an even darker turn.
Because China isn't acting alone anymore.
Next time, on the Dragon's Digital Shadow, we explore the axis of disruption, We're looking at the deepening and often terrifying cooperation between the hackers of the Chinese Ministry of Security Services and the Russian GRU.
Ministry of State Security.
We're looking at the deepening and often terrifying cooperation between the hackers of the Chinese Ministry of State Security and the Russian GRU.
We'll look at how they're sharing tools, sharing targets, and preparing for a coordinated digital offensive that the West might not be yet prepared to stop.
So stay tuned, listeners, for more on that in our upcoming episodes.
Until next time, stay safe with SafeBreach.
The Cyber Resilience Brief is a SafeBreach podcast. Executive produced by Adrian Culley and Tova Dvorin. Music produced by Sar Dressner. Hosted, edited, and compiled on Riverside. For more about SafeBreach and how you can validate your security controls across your entire IT infrastructure, visit us at www.safebreach.com. That's www.safebeach.com.